Hello. Excuse me. Degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes, College Basketball Part 2. I, of course, am the brofict one, and with me, as always, is the person that scares sports books. They need his social security number when he walks through the door. He is the sportsbook whisperer, Mr. Noah Engelbretson. Noah, how the hell are you doing today?
Fantastic. Can't complain. We love it. We're
And
in for a
Noah, we
big day of college basketball tomorrow, so super excited for that.
there's a lot of big days of college basketball. I do agree with you. Saturday is the biggest day. And Noah, we just went through about top 7, top 8 teams on the last episode, and I know you and I have a lot to say about the rest of the teams. So I'm going to hand it over to our college basketball expert, Noah Engelbretson. Noah, take the show away. What are we looking for? What am I missing? And why are these teams better than I think they are?
Yeah, we kind of covered the top seven last episode, so I think we dive into eight through 10 right here. A couple of massive blue bloods in college basketball that are sitting at 8 through 10 here. Duke, Kansas, and Michigan State. All not quite at the top of the rankings, but they're still very very good teams. Um, these teams are all ones that could push themselves all the way up to one seeds by the end of the season. I could totally see that happening with all of them, but we'll see. I don't know. You have a
Now, Noah, I have a personal bias to KU. My father, my mother, they both went there, and they were both there during the national championship run for KU. So, as a U of A student, hearing those stories over and over again was fucking torture. But I would love to see KU make another run. They're always a solid basketball team in the top 10 constantly, but they just can't seem to get it done in the tournament. Now, with that being said,
they got some real good players though there. I mean,
they have
especially
great players. They have great players.
Sheboy leading the pack. Kansas. I mean, all three of these programs: Kansas, Duke, Michigan State. They all have really good talent, and even more so than that, they have really good coaches. Like you have Krzyzewski's last dance here. Tom Izzo at Michigan State. You got Kansas. Is what Bill Self still?
Yes, sir.
Self still the coach there, right?
Yeah, I think he has another 2 years on the contract too.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I don't know why I was second guessing
Yeah.
myself there, but yeah, I mean,
Now,
it's fun to see. It's fun to see these blue bloods back in contention after last year was weird. And a lot of them were kind of out of contention.
and you can chalk a lot of that up to COVID probably, and a lot of the different players that didn't want to play and blah blah blah. We can get into all of that in a different episode. But let's talk about the now and the present. Noah, as a degenerate gambler, I have a problem putting money on Duke. And by the problem putting money on Duke,
You
meaning
shouldn't. You shouldn't.
I don't want
It's
to.
free money. It's free money.
I swear to God, the last 5 times I've bet on them, they haven't covered the spread.
Well, you're just betting on them on the wrong games, I guess.
I guess I am. Out of the 5 games, even though they're 12-2, I'm betting on the 5 games where they can't cover the spread. It happens, though. I am a terrible bettor. That's a conversation also for later. But with that being said, also listen to us on Degenerate Bets, where we cover all of our NFL, college basketball, and football bets.
AJ, I do have a question for you though.
I probably have an answer for you.
So, out of these three blue bloods, that are ranked 8, 9, and 10. Which one of these three out of Duke, Kansas, and Michigan State do you think has the best chance at winning a national championship this year?
So a lot of the, honest to God, analytics have a lot to do with this, and I've ran a lot of the analytics on all three of these teams. But I'm throwing that out the window because we're talking about March Madness, where literally anything goes. And when in an anything goes environment, I honestly think KU is the more cutthroat, willing to do whatever it has to do in order to win games type of team. I really, don't get me wrong, I really like this Michigan State team. I like them a
Okay.
lot.
Okay.
However, I feel like if I had to bet on a team, one game, like we will have to do in March Madness, and it was KU versus either of these two teams, I would bet on KU to cover the spread at minus whatever the point spread is. Probably 3.5 at this point.
Yeah, I disagree. I out of the three of these teams, Kansas is the team I would pick third.
Ooh.
I think I would take Michigan State as a slight, like
I
they're my
don't
number
blame you.
one. They're my number one, but I would put Duke right behind them. Duke has a lot of talent. Obviously, Coach K's final dance, and then I'd put Kansas third. Not that I'm counting Kansas out by any means. I mean, these are all top 10
Understandable.
teams. Like they're all very good teams. But I like Michigan State the best out of all of these. Michigan State, a
Now
very
here's
young
my
team,
thing
and
with
I think by tournament time, Michigan State's going to mature a lot, and they're going to be a
yeah.
force to be reckoned with.
Now I understand where you're coming at from with Duke. However, in my opinion, don't get me wrong, a lot of talent and everything on this team. I think Coach K's retirement is just overshadowing everything a little too much to where the record doesn't matter, their play is falling. Like this, don't get me wrong. I bet on Duke the first game of the season against Kentucky in Madison
I
Square
mean,
Garden, and
I mean,
they
they're
blew
they're
the
they're
shit
ranked
out of them. They blew them out.
they're ranked number
However,
8. So
no, I understand, Noah, but I'm just saying from an eye test perspective, the team I saw that first game of the college basketball season is a lot worse than I'm sorry, is a lot better than what I'm seeing right now from this Duke team. And that might just be because I've watched a lot of basketball lately, or I don't know. But I just don't feel this Duke team will win in a clutch scenario.
all right, well, should we move on to the next 5 teams in that 10 to 15
Oh, fuck
range
yeah, dude. Let's do it.
in the rankings? So you got Houston at number 11 with a 14-2 record. LSU at 14-1, ranked number 12. Wisconsin, who's been arguably the hottest team in college basketball lately, ranked at 13 now, taking a 10-point jump in the rankings, jumping from 23 to 13. Villanova, who's an interesting one because they are maybe, I think, probably the only
Dog
four
shit.
loss, probably the only 4 loss team that's in the rankings at 14. And then Iowa State at 13-2, ranked at 15. AJ, do you have anything pressing about any of these teams that you would like to discuss?
So, honest to God, the only team out of these 5 teams I have not watched played basketball is Iowa State. I just, honest to God, none of the
Most
games
people
I've bet
haven't.
on,
Most people haven't.
it's just not been a game that,
They played a very boring schedule, getting off to an 11-0,
yeah.
12-0 start, and once conference play hit, they have been struggling a little bit, to say the
And don't
least.
get me wrong, I noticed the 12-0 start. Like, I knew they were coming in with a steam head and everything, but when looking at the lines in conference play, I just didn't like where they were landing. I didn't like the competition or anything like that. But however, Houston, number 11, I think
Well,
that is the most
I, I,
proper
I
positioning of any basketball team. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I do need to say Iowa State won 2 games last year. They won 2 games, which
Okay,
was
cool.
which was a huge outlier season. Like they shouldn't. They were way better than a 2-win team. Obviously, with COVID
Yeah.
last year, it was entirely conference play, no non-con games. Um, but yeah, they made a huge turnaround. Have a new coach who's a huge candidate, like one of the favorites for coach of the year now. Iowa State definitely turning things around. But I will turn it back over to you, AJ. You were saying with Houston, you like Houston.
Oh, love Houston. I watching them play, betting on them and everything. Like the 2 games they lost, I'm not upset about losing. Like those are games they deserve to lose, and every once in a while you have a couple games like that. They're one of the more stronger two-team losses in this top 25. It's like I really believe in Houston. I don't think they'll break the top 5. Top 10 most definitely by the end of the season. LSU, they're fake as fuck. I'm going to say this right now. They're very fake. I do not trust this team whatsoever.
I very
I
much
understand
disagree
it.
with
I
that,
get
but
their schedule. I get what we're looking at, 14-1. I think when it comes to real competition, all I'm looking at is March, because all that matters is March. Like, yeah, I'll bet on games and stuff, but all that matters is March. They ain't getting past the first round in March. Simple as that. They're not clutch. Wisconsin, same issue. Fake as hell. They are not a good basketball team.
I I can agree with that.
They're just
I,
not
I
good. And
I don't
13 and
agree at
2,
all
that's
with
just
I,
competition.
I don't agree at all with LSU, but Wisconsin, yes, they are off to an incredible start to their season, but it's going to fall apart. It's going to
Great
fall
start to the
apart.
season, but yeah, the
Big
way
Ten
they are
schedule is going to
playing, the
ruin
way
them.
they're
Big Ten,
performing, they do not. Yeah,
they'll
they have
they'll make
no chance.
they'll make the tournament as I think Wisconsin's good enough to be they'll be like a 5 or 6 or 7 seed, but I think a 5 seed is the highest they'll get.
Yeah,
Um,
if that.
Wisconsin.
And
I
then let's go
disagree with
Villanova.
I disagree with LSU, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about Villanova.
They are a team that traditionally I bet on a lot. I take a lot in my March Madness bracket, but I am more concerned than ever. I don't know what Noah. I am not a basketball expert by any means necessary. I am just a degenerate gambler. But when I watch these games with Villanova, they scare the shit out of me. They keep it too close, and and teams they're supposed to blow out, they don't blow out until the end. And that's not a good way to go into March. Again, all I'm looking at is March, because that's all that fucking matters. Villanova, you can count them out in the second round. Simple as that. Iowa State, no opinion on them. I have not watched enough. I've honest to God not watched any Iowa State basketball to have an opinion on them.
Well, I will go through those same teams here.
Let's go, Noah. Let me hear
I
it.
I love Houston. I think they end up with a
Yeah.
2 or a 3 seed. They're going to be a threat to make it out of their quadrant. I mean, they're going to be a legitimate Final Four threat again for like the third year in a row. I have no doubt about it. They have probably the best defense in college basketball. I mean, it hasn't come to fruition yet this year, but it will. It will. They'll be good. LSU, I am big on LSU. I'm not shorting them. I'm big on them. They're doing everything right. This is a very good, very sound basketball team. Wisconsin,
Are we watching the same LSU team?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's 2 different LSU teams or anything, but I think we are. Wisconsin,
All right.
they're not. I'm just like Wisconsin's like a 6 or a 7 seed in my mind. They're a good team. They deserve to be in the tournament, but God, rank 13? No, no way in hell. They're gonna get smacked here by somebody. Somebody's gonna kick them in the teeth. Um, Villanova, I love this Villanova team. I know they've lost some games. They've lost 4 games already, which is like tough, but I still have a lot of faith in this Villanova team. I think they're going to be a potential. I think they're going to be a potential contender come March. And then Iowa State. I hate this Iowa State team. I hate them. They suck. They
Really?
played nobody. No, no, they got. Here's the thing, and I was holding this back because I didn't want to like spoiler alert anything. But yeah, they got off this 12-0 start against a bunch of fucking cupcake teams, and they're not good. They're not good, and they're much better than last year. They're much better than last year. I will say that, but they're going to drop out of the rankings by the time tournament time comes around. They're going to drop out of the rankings. They're going to get like a I don't know, like a 10, 11, 12 seed. That's my prediction. This is not that good of a team. They're going to get shredded by their Big 12 schedule because the Big 12 is looking very, very strong. And so I don't think they're going to like amount to anything. They're just going to get shredded by conference schedule. They're going to make it to the tournament with like a shit seed, and they're going to lose in the first or second round.
I can see that. I honestly can. Noah, excuse me. Honestly, the last 10, I think, is the most interesting thing about this top 25. Let's.
Oh,
You want to run
we
through
have
it?
a yeah, we have a very interesting thing. I think obviously in our last episode we did cover Texas Tech and Seton Hall, so maybe we skipped those two.
Yes.
But Ohio State at 16, Xavier 17, Kentucky at 18, Texas Tech at 19, Seton Hall at 20, Texas at 21, Tennessee at 22, Providence at 23, Alabama at 24, Illinois 25. Just so, in case you don't know what the rankings are, that's what they are.
And honest to God, Noah, I hate to say this, and you know my personal biases and everything towards sports teams, and you know how much this is going to hurt me to say this. I think Alabama's ranked too low.
Well, they're about to drop out of the rankings. Is what's going to happen.
Which I can't believe. I mean, I like the eye test and everything. I know they've lost a lot of games recently and everything, but they're going to be a team when come tournament time. If they're not a ranked team, they're not in a top, like they don't get a top 5 seed. They're going to be someone to look out for. They're one of those quote unquote Cinderella stories where I think
Well,
could make it through.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? I mean, they got pretty much the same team they had last year as a 2 seed. And they could still work their way up to a 2 or 3 seed this season. I mean, they beat Gonzaga. They beat a couple other big name teams. AJ, I'm curious to hear, like, in this 16 through 25, what are 2 teams that you could see definitely elevating their game, and what are 2 who are the 2 schools that you could see completely like falling off?
Oh,
Out of this 10 team range.
I'm glad you asked me about this because I actually had a conversation with a coworker about this today. The 2 teams I see advancing well above the top 25, the top 10, Texas Tech and Seton Hall. Both of those teams are on
Despite
full
Seton Hall
ignitions.
losing this week.
Yes,
To DePaul.
despite Seton
They
Hall.
lost
Yes.
to DePaul.
And I was
They
on the
lost to
wrong
DePaul.
side of that. Hey, Aaron Rodgers lost the first game, and it was a blowout. And they've just been ballers ever since. Like, it just happens.
That's okay.
Texas Tech is a wagon. It's simple as that. They are extremely undervalued. Take them whenever you can. Now, Noah, and this is going to be honest to God. If you've been following me on TikTok, I've been doing a sports betting Bible, and I've been doing commandments. And the fourth commandment tomorrow is going to be Texas is not back. Texas will never be back, and thou shalt
So,
not bet on Texas
so that's your first
because
team
the
that you're fading.
Longhorns are done.
So that's your first team you're fading is Texas.
And then what are we doing with Providence? Like Providence, like I appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you're doing. You don't cover. Good teams win, great teams cover. If you guys don't start covering, you're going to get out of the top 25 because sports betting is very relevant. And the only reason you're in the top 25 is probably because someone made some money sports betting off of you. You guys are not that good of a team. Providence, get them at. And then last but not least,
Oh,
Illinois.
so we're taking.
They are number.
You're
What?
you're fading. You're fading Illinois.
Illinois? I'm fading
Yeah,
Illinois. Noah. Oh,
is that
I'm
what you're
fading
saying?
the fuck out of them. They are number 25 for a reason. The fact that they're in 25 is disrespectful to the top 25 list. It was like Oregon being in the top 4 college football playoffs for 2 weeks.
No, I love it.
Unbelievable.
I love it. I love it. I love it because it's just gonna make me look so much better now.
Because what? They beat Nebraska last week, right?
Well, so here's mine.
Let me hear it.
My number one that I'm riding outside of the top 15, Texas Tech. I'm riding this Texas Tech Red Raiders team. I love them. And I'm gonna go ahead and like expand pick 3 for each of these two because I love Kentucky. I'm a big fan of Kentucky. I'm never gonna bet against Coach Cal.
Don't blame me on that.
And then my third team that I love in this range is Illinois. Kofi Coburn. Kofi Coburn, with the shooting around him, this Illinois team is a wagon. They're going to work their way up the rankings. It's going to make Arizona look better because we beat them.
True.
So good for Arizona, but Illinois will continue to work their way up the rankings. They have one of the best centers in college basketball, surrounded by really, really good shooting. Now, my teams in here that I am fading the hell out of. Providence is my number one.
Yep.
I am fading the hell out of Providence. I don't know how the hell they made it into the rankings. They're gonna fall apart. Xavier is probably my number 2. Second Big East school there. They're gonna fall apart as well. Both of those teams are going to get leapfrogged by UConn. UConn will eventually make their way back into the rankings. I'm a big fan of UConn. I think they're going to work things together. AJ, my third one on here is a third Big East school. And you're not going to like this because Seton Hall. I am fading Seton Hall, man.
You're wrong.
They're not that good. They're
wrong.
not that good. I know that's your favorite team to bet on in the entire world, but they're not that good. I mean, they're good, but they're not that good. Like they're not going to finish in the rankings. They'll make the tournament, but they won't get like they'll be like a 6 or a 7 seed or something, you know.
Try 4 or 5, bitch, but we'll see what happens. No, that was the entire top 25 list, part 2. Do you have anything else to say to the degenerates about college basketball or anything?
Not at the moment. All I can say is, let's go Ramblers. Like I said, I might Might try to videotape a little bit, get some live action from that game tomorrow
Hell
in
yeah, dude.
good old Terre Haute, Indiana, and
Whew.
with football season coming to the end, obviously, if you listen to the show that we cover a lot of football. We'll be covering a lot more basketball coming up here,
A lot more college basketball, a lot more
and
hockey, a
hockey.
lot more pro basketball, a lot of everything, bro. We adapt, we overcome. Simple as that. We are looking to do a live stream Monday, maybe, for the Cardinals game. Follow us on Twitter at Degenerate Takes for updates on that. Noah, I will talk to you then. And if you're betting this weekend, just remember life's too short. Bet the over. We'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.